Good evening, everyone. Tonight, the title of my talk is the Latke, an edible, anti-obesity, hormone-evoking disc, superior to the Hamantash. As is customary at the University of Chicago, and in the interest of full disclosure, I have filed with the Provost's office the following statement of conflict of interest. 1, I own stock in the Manischewitz Baking Company, which makes latkes. Not worth very much today, but I do own stock in that. I pay dues to my local synagogue, which hosts Hanukkah parties, at which I consume large quantities of latkes. And finally, I visit the state of Israel regularly and support the Osam Latke factory. Depicted on this diagram is a map of the United States and the state-reported incidence of obesity from the Centers for Disease Control. Obesity is defined as a body mass index, or BMI, greater than 30. This is analogous for a 5'4" individual being 30 pounds overweight. In 1985, the majority of states weren't even bothering to report the incidence of obesity, and the few that did reported it in less than 10% of the population. 5 short years later, in 1990, the majority of the states did report, and most were 15% incidence. In 1995, the incidence continued to climb, and in the next this is true, people, and in the next 5-year time period, it increased to greater than 20%. In 2005, most states were reporting greater than 20%, and a few states even greater than 30%, no less than 15%. The most recent data continues to show that this is an epidemic of major proportions. My friends, we have trouble. Trouble right here in River City. That's trouble with a capital T that rhymes with P, and that stands for prune Hamantaschen. Yes, it's trouble, all right. This is the culprit, people. This is the single most offending agent, and it is the Hamantash. And the cure for this problem, which I am going to show you, is indeed the Latke. It isn't only prune, it's also mun, it's apricot, and it's cherry. Now, let's take another look again at this map. Pay attention to the states with the highest rates of obesity. Keep this in your mind. Now compare this to the map of electoral votes in the recent presidential election. You will notice that the obese states correspond to the red states and the less obese to the blue. The red represent the Republicans and the blue the Democrats. Why is this, you say? Consider the symbols for the different parties. The Republicans choose to represent themselves via an elephant. This pachyderm prefers to nosh on Hamantash, responsible for its largeness. On the other hand, the donkey has a penchant for the languishing latke. It is well known that Republicans eat more Hamantash, as we've seen already this evening, and Democrats eat more latkes. Seriously. Now, Michelle is no balabus. I get this. But can you picture her patchking around in the kitchen making a Hamantash for a Barack? No. She's going to fry up some latkes. And look at Obama. Taka, look at this man. If he turns sideways immediately, the Secret Service call a red alert because they can't see him. He's mamish oiskeda. Now, politically speaking, we'll go on. Of course, you know the states that were predominantly blue were the ones that have the largest Jewish population. Now, another political figure that we mustn't lose track of is Marie Antoinette. Now, some of you have heard that she was responsible for saying, "Let them eat cake." People, not true. I'm here to tell you today. What she really did say was Esformes. And this is the reason she was beheaded. Had she said, "Essen mehr Kind Latkes," no beheading would have happened, and the entire history would have been different. More modern thoughts on this came from the famous Spanish artist Botero, whose obese subjects are commonly found eating Hamantash, as shown in this particular picture. If one were to determine the popularity of the latke versus the Hamantash in a very simple experiment that you can do in your own home, you can do a search. Just do it. Search latke and recipe and Hamantash and recipe. And if you use Google, you'll find there are 85,000 hits for the latke. It's much more popular, and the Hamantash only 831. And if you don't trust the Google search engine, you can use Yahoo. Yahoo shows the same thing. Now, being a physician, being in medicine, I wanted to get some evidence as to really to support the theory of Hamantash versus latke. So I went to a different search engine. I went to PubMed that some of you may be interested in. And I was very pleased when I saw one reference for latke, but there is indeed, if you search the PubMed website, one reference for Hamantash. I was nervous until I saw what it was, and it was indeed an article by someone by the name of Hamzatash. Has absolutely nothing to do with what we're going to talk about.